Hello, this is Nick from Breakfast Games, and in this episode of DCC Basics, we are going to talk about fumbles. Alright, so this is one of those mechanics that brings me great joy, but before we get into talking about fumbles, if you find this video useful or instructive, please like, subscribe, or comment down below. So, what are fumbles all about? Well, I find it to be a really enjoyable mechanic because failure is infinitely more interesting when it results in something that is dramatic or impactful in the moment, in the encounter. Something that adds to the narrative. And so, let's look at those actual mechanics on page 79 and page 80 of the DCC rulebook. So in combat, a natural roll of 1 is a fumble. Now, what's a natural roll of a 1? Well, in most cases, your action die is a d20 die roll, and so if you roll a 1, that is a fumble. Now, it is possible that in certain circumstances, you will be rolling a d16 or a d14 or even something lower for your action die. And in those cases, well, that increases the chance of you having a fumble because there's a higher chance of you rolling a 1. But in most cases, we are discussing rolling a d20 and rolling a natural 1 on that d20. If you roll a 1, on page 80, there is a chart. And that chart has an escalating rate of failure depending on circumstances. Now, what are those circumstances? Well, your roll on the fumble chart is modified by both your armor, how heavy your armor is, and also by your luck modifier. Now, this is something that is a little quirky. You actually reverse your luck modifier on this particular chart because the lower you roll on the chart, the less you are harmed by the fumble, and the higher you roll on the chart, the worse things are, the more dramatic and dire things become because you're so unlucky. And so in those cases, you reverse your luck modifier in the case of a fumble. So before we get into breaking this down further, let's have a message from me. How would you like to get grimdark content sent to your mailbox every month? Become a noble patron on the Breaker Press Patreon, and you will get cool stuff like encounter pamphlets and class guides sent to your mailbox. It's $5 and above. Go check it out in the doobly-doo below. All right, so let's talk about the trade-offs of better armor protection. The heavier armor, the worse the fumble can be. So no armor, you roll a 1d4 on the chart, and there's even a 25% chance that nothing happens. You're just the laughing stock of the party. You know, on those low rolls, you have a chance of dropping your weapon, or you have a chance of going prone. Nothing really major. It's just something that's going to add a little bit of narrative to the moment. If you have light armor, you roll a d8, and light armor is padded, leather, studded, or a shield. Moderate armor, you roll a d12, and that is your chain, scale, or hide. And then heavy armor, you roll a 1d16 on the chart, and that is your banded, your half plate, and your plate. And so most of the effects are just a minor inconvenience. And as I said, they add to the narrative. Oh, you fall on your back and you have a penalty because you're fighting your enemy for one round, on the flat of your back. Or you swing your weapon and you strike something solid and the weapon breaks. So those are the types of things that are on this fumble table. It's only when you get into the really big numbers, actually 12 plus, that you can run into the chance of accidentally hitting yourself or potentially wounding one of your friends. But, as I said, in most cases, it's just going to be some sort of penalty or losing your grip or being knocked prone, things like that. And so, the other thing that is really important to note, and this is something that I learned while reading the paragraph on fumbles, for this video, and that's that something that's not mentioned under warriors or dwarfs in the class section of the rulebook is that warriors and dwarves can burn 1 point of luck in order to ignore a fumble. This is specific to warriors and dwarves only, but it is something that if you're fighting the big bad and you're in a clutch moment and you need to make sure that you don't fumble, well, there is your opportunity to just burn a point of luck if you are a warrior or a dwarf. So hopefully this was useful or instructive. Thank you for supporting indie games and indie game designers. This is Nick from Breaker Press Games signing off. Thanks. The Protectorate of Genuine is a spiritual journey for one PC and one judge, comparable to the Green Knight or Luke on Dagobah. It is available through the Breaker Press web store now, or you can encourage your FLGS to pre-order it wherever they acquire Goodman Games product.